In this video, I'm looking at appeal decisions relating to terrace properties and permitted development. I'm looking at 5 appeal decisions against refusals to issue Lawful Development Certificates, LDCs, for a roof extension. The first 4 appeals were dismissed. They involved converting a mid-terrace hip roof to mid-terrace gable-end roof. This might sound odd, but bear with me. I'll do one of my world-famous 3D models to illustrate the conversion. The 5th appeal that features in this video was allowed. I'm not at all convinced about the inspector's decision, and I'll explain why after I've run through the appeal decisions numbers 1 to 4. In all cases, we're dealing with a terrace of houses where there is a change in depth between 2 adjoining properties. Let's switch to the 3D model to get a clearer picture. This shows the change of depth. As the roof slope angle does not change, this results in the ridge height changing. The houses with the greater depth have a higher roof ridge than the houses with lower depth. The house with the greater depth has a hipped roof that connects with the standard terrace dual pitched roof. Front elevation is the principal elevation, and it includes this wall and these 2 roof slopes. This is the roof slope we're interested in. Let's add the plane of that roof slope and now add the proposed roof extension. We can see, when added, the gable end covers the rear slope. Permitted development does not include roof extensions built in front of the plane of a roof slope fronting the highway. The appeal was dismissed. This is the mid-terrace property. The appellant wanted to extend the hip roof to a gable. As it would be in front of the plane of this slope, it can't be built under permitted development. The appeal was dismissed. This is exactly the same. Extending this hip into a gable roof puts it in front of this slope. The appeal was dismissed. Same here. Extending this hip into a gable roof puts it in front of this slope, and the appeal was dismissed. This end-terraced property is the subject of our last case. The appellant wanted to erect 3 dormers on the roof slopes of this property. The LDC application was refused by the council on the basis that the development would extend beyond the plane of an existing roof slope, which forms the principal elevation of the dwelling house and fronts a highway. Switching to a 3D model of the house, there's no dispute about the principal elevation being the gable that fronts the highway. Let's identify the elements of the principal elevation. If we look for an existing roof slope which forms the principal elevation of the dwelling house and fronts a highway, there's only one candidate, and it's this slope. We'll add the dormers. These have been copied from the plans attached to the application. Now let's add the plane of the slope that we identified, which allows us to assess whether the development would extend beyond the plane. What do you think? To me, it looks like 2 out of the 3 proposed dormers are beyond the plane, and so the council's refusal was correct. Let's see what the inspector said. Were I to conclude that the dormers would be located on roof slopes which form the principal elevation of the dwelling house, they must also be located on roof slopes which front a highway in order to fall under the limitation in B1. My comment is, first of all, it's physically impossible for the 3 dormers to be located on the single roof slope that forms the principal elevation. Secondly, the inspector is under the impression that the dormers must be located on roof slopes fronting a highway, whereas the limitation refers to developments that would extend beyond the plane of the roof slope. They don't need to be on the roof slope for the limitation to apply. The inspector then stated, the only exception would be roof valley, where the property adjoins number 22 upon which one of the dormer windows is located. Whilst part of the roof valley faces towards the highway, it does not, for the reasons given above, form part of the principal elevation of the house. That's what the inspector said. My comment is that it appears that the inspector is unaware of the meaning of the term roof valley. By stating that part of the roof valley faces toward the highway, the inspector seems to understand that a roof valley is comprised of the two roof slopes that meet at right angles. A roof valley is in fact the gutter between such slopes. The rest of the phrase doesn't make sense. Finally, the inspector concluded the proposed dormer windows would not extend beyond the plane of an existing roof slope which forms the principal elevation of the dwelling house and fronts a highway, and the inspector proposed that the appeal should succeed. As you've heard, I don't agree. What do you think? Do let me know in the comments below. And if you're thinking of pressing the like or subscribe button, thank you. Next week, one inspector's side elevation is another inspector's front elevation. I'll be looking for some consistency in decision making next week. Will I find it? Well, tune in next week and you will know. Thanks for watching. See you next week.